You're standing at the counter waiting for the kettle to quiet, wondering if this cup is helping future you or just borrowing energy from tonight. A new study made coffee sound like an aging hack. The real story is smaller, stranger, and much more useful for your actual morning. Today's question is not, does caffeine flip a cellular switch? It's, does your body pay for that switch with sleep, jitters, reflux, or pressure spikes? By the end, you'll have a simple coffee fit check. Keep it, move it earlier, lower the dose, try decaf, or ask a clinician. Here's the headline underneath the headline. The 2025 paper was done in fission yeast, not humans drinking coffee and aging more slowly. The researchers found caffeine indirectly activated AMPK-linked components in yeast, tied to energy sensing, stress response, cell cycle timing, DNA damage sensitivity, and yeast chronological lifespan. That is fascinating biology. But yeast cells are not tiny people with jobs, insomnia, blood pressure readings, panic history, pregnancies, or espresso habits. The public cellular switch phrase came from coverage explaining caffeine may act through AMPK, an energy sensor, rather than directly on TOR. The switch matters because AMPK and TOR are ancient cellular systems. They help cells decide when to grow, conserve energy, or handle stress. One quoted researcher said AMPK helps cells cope when energy is low, and their results suggest caffeine helped flip that switch in yeast. But a switch moved in yeast is not the same sentence as coffee extends human life. That jump skips several floors of evidence. In the 2017 BMJ Umbrella Review, coffee was more often associated with benefit than harm, often around 3 to 4 cups daily. Important word, associated. The BMJ authors explicitly said robust randomized trials are needed to know whether those observed links are causal. Coffee drinkers may differ in income, smoking patterns, diet, sleep, movement, or healthcare access. Observational studies try to adjust, but adjustment is not destiny. So the evidence splits into 2 buckets: mechanism in cells and associations in populations. Neither bucket proves caffeine is a human longevity intervention. Here's the twist. Your nightly sleep may be a stronger aging lever than any cellular coffee story we currently have. A 2013 randomized trial tested 400 milligrams of caffeine at bedtime, 3 hours before bed and 6 hours before bed. Compared with placebo, caffeine significantly disturbed sleep at every timing point, including 6 hours before bedtime. That's the practical counterweight to longevity hype. One approach: if sleep feels fragile, set your cutoff at least 6 hours before bed. If you're sensitive, consider 8, 10, or morning only. EFSA says single doses up to 200 milligrams and daily intake up to 400 milligrams raise no safety concern for healthy non-pregnant adults. The FDA uses the same broad adult benchmark. 400 milligrams daily is not generally associated with negative effects for most adults. But most adults is doing heavy lifting. Body size, genetics, medications, pregnancy, anxiety, sensitivity, and health conditions can change your personal ceiling. Caffeine amounts vary wildly. The FDA lists 12-ounce brewed coffee from 113 to 247 milligrams, depending on preparation and brand. EFSA lists espresso around 80 milligrams and a cup of filter coffee around 90 milligrams, again with real-world variation. So your coffee fit check starts with dose. Count brewed coffee, espresso drinks, energy drinks, tea, chocolate, pre-workout powders, and even decaf if you're highly sensitive. Soft chuckle. The cup in your hand may be reasonable. The refill, giant cold brew, afternoon latte, and pre-workout scoop are the pile-up. Coffee fit check question 1. What time is your last meaningful caffeine? If sleep is worse, move that last dose earlier for 1 week. EFSA also notes 100 milligrams close to bedtime may affect sleep duration and patterns in some adults. Small doses can still matter. Question 2. What is your total daily dose? If you're near 400 milligrams, consider whether benefits still outweigh sleep, mood, stomach, and pressure effects. This is where aging claims can mislead. A dose that sounds exciting in a cell pathway may be miserable in a nervous system. For anxiety, a 2024 meta-analysis of 8 articles and 546 healthy participants found caffeine intake was associated with higher anxiety scores. The anxiety signal looks stronger at doses above 400 milligrams. That supports personal sensitivity screening, not a universal anti-coffee rule. Question 3. How does coffee feel in your body? Track jitters, palpitations, racing thoughts, irritability, and the afternoon crash without moralizing any of it. If coffee reliably ramps anxiety, consider half-caff, smaller cups, food first, or decaf for 2 weeks. You're testing fit, not proving discipline. Objection. But I sleep fine after coffee. Maybe you do. Some people metabolize caffeine faster and feel fewer obvious effects. Still, consider checking more than sleep onset. Notice awakenings, dream intensity, morning grogginess, resting heart rate, and whether you need more caffeine tomorrow. The body is good at normalizing low-grade disruption. I can fall asleep as helpful data, but it's not the whole sleep story. Blood pressure adds another layer. In hypertensive individuals, 200 to 300 milligrams caffeine acutely raise systolic pressure by about 8.1 millimeters of mercury. The same meta-analysis found diastolic pressure rose about 5.7 millimeters of mercury for at least 3 hours after caffeine. But available cohort evidence in that review did not show higher cardiovascular disease risk from habitual coffee consumption in people with hypertension. That sounds contradictory, but it isn't. Acute spikes can happen, while long-term observational outcomes look more mixed and may be shaped by adaptation. A 2023 meta-analysis of 25 observational studies found higher coffee intake was associated with lower hypertension risk, but results varied by study characteristics. Question 4. Do you have blood pressure concerns, palpitations, arrhythmia symptoms, pregnancy, breastfeeding, panic symptoms, or medicines that may interact with caffeine? If yes, consider discussing your caffeine routine with a clinician or pharmacist, especially before increasing dose because of an aging headline. During pregnancy or lactation, EFSA says up to 200 milligrams per day does not raise safety concerns for the fetus. WHO guidance recommends lowering intake during pregnancy when daily caffeine is above 300 milligrams. Different agencies set slightly different practical thresholds. Health Direct lists possible caffeine interactions with antibiotics, oral contraceptives, some antidepressants, and some heart medicines. That's a pharmacist question, not guesswork. Reflux is more personal. The 2022 ACG guideline recommends avoiding individual trigger foods, not a blanket rule that everyone with reflux stops coffee. The same reflux guideline suggests avoiding meals within 2 to 3 hours of bedtime, which may matter as much as the coffee itself. Health Direct warns regular heavy caffeine above 600 milligrams daily can increase stomach acid and contribute to heartburn. If coffee burns, try a smaller serving, take it with food, avoid late meals, test low-acid styles, or trial decaf and compare symptoms. Objection. My grandparents drank coffee and lived into their 90s. Beautiful. Also, family stories can't separate coffee from genes, work, food, stress, and luck. Another objection. Population studies look favorable. Yes, research suggests coffee drinkers often show better outcomes, but association still cannot assign the credit. And the decaf objection matters. If caffeine is the switch, why decaf? Because your goal is not impressing yeast, it's feeling and functioning better. The FDA lists 8-ounce decaf coffee around 2 to 15 milligrams of caffeine. Not zero, but much lower for most people. Decaf may be useful if you enjoy the ritual, aroma, warmth, and social rhythm, but caffeine keeps taxing sleep, anxiety, reflux, or blood pressure. Here's the coffee fit check in plain language. 1. Timing. 2. Total dose. 3. Body sensitivity. 4. Medical trade-offs. If timing is the issue, keep the morning cup and move the afternoon caffeine earlier, or remove it for 7 days. If dose is the issue, shrink the serving, alternate half-caff or cap refills. Small changes often protect the part you actually enjoy. If this helps you make calmer health decisions, a like or subscribe is warmly appreciated. It helps evidence-based wellness reach people before the hype does. If sensitivity is the issue, test decaf or tea, especially when symptoms include jitters, panic-like feelings, reflux, palpitations, or restless sleep. If medical trade-offs are the issue, consult your doctor or pharmacist. Bring your usual drink sizes and timing, not just, "I drink coffee." Louder voice. The aging claim gets quieter here, but the health decision gets sharper. Coffee is not a longevity drug. It is a stimulant-containing habit. For some people, it fits beautifully, morning only, moderate dose, no anxiety spike, no reflux flare, no blood pressure concern, and sleep stays solid. For others, the same cup costs too much. Not because coffee is bad, but because context changes the answer. Try this experiment. Keep everything else steady for 1 week, then change only caffeine timing or dose. Watch sleep, mood, stomach, and energy. Avoid testing 5 changes at once. If you switch coffee, bedtime, workouts, and dinner together, you won't know what helped. A good result is boring. You still enjoy coffee, but your sleep deepens, your stomach quiets, or your afternoon feels less jagged. If nothing changes and you already feel good, you may simply keep your routine. Evidence-based health also means not fixing what isn't broken. This content is for informational purposes only and is not a substitute for professional medical advice. Always consult your doctor or a qualified healthcare provider before making changes to your health routine. So when the next headline says, "Coffee changes aging," ask cell model, population link, or human intervention. Those are not interchangeable. Then run the fit check, timing, dose, sensitivity, medical trade-offs. That turns a scary headline into a practical choice. Coffee is neither villain nor longevity shortcut. If it supports your day without stealing your night, it may already be doing enough.